Welcome to another episode of NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars, Mount Shop, undercar specialists, and Teng Tools. Get organised. Coming up in this week's show, we check out Omar's Ultra Clean Mark II Golf.
VW gave me a blank canvas and said, what will be your ultimate Mark II? It will be that.
And meet the team hot rodding factory fresh Mustangs at CTB Performance in Auckland.
You're going to go from something that's going to put a smile on your face every now and again to something that's going to put a smile on your face forever.
But first up, it's off to the Wairarapa for the second annual Cruisin Martinborough.
Days set in the Martinborough village mostly, amongst the vineyards and taking in some of the scenery. Half of our entrants are actually locals who probably have cars and never get them out, and now they do, yeah. We started off having a sort of quite a strict criteria of pre-72, but we had so many cars that were, 73 or 74, can we come? And, we're all car people at the end of the day, and why not? So, yeah, we do have quite a big range. We even let a Aston Martin slip in this time. And I think they're enjoying themselves, yeah.
It's actually crazy to see what cars are actually in people's sheds around an area like the Wairarapa, Some of the cars that you see around here at shows like this have been here for 10 years, and I lived here my whole life and I haven't even seen them, so it's cool that this is creating more of a scene, anything on your doorstep's positive. You got to be pumped to drive 5Ks down the road for stuff like this. Yeah, we've been into these cars, myself and my brother, since childhood, and the 65 coupe with the round tail lights was always a dream for both of us. So yeah, eventually got to the point where we could afford to scrape up the coin and get one in from the States, and yeah, it turns out the first one I actually got stolen on its way into the country, which was a bit unfortunate. Yeah, I went through another one and it was a bit under the weather, that car. It wasn't quite up to the level I wanted, and pushed the reset button and went on the search again, and it's turned out third time lucky, to be honest.
And if you're wondering just who this brother might be, well, none other than Mr. Johnny Burkhardt, the owner and builder of this mega horsepower Roadrunner from our very first episode. While still running a conservative tune, the pro-charged Hemi power plant lurking in the engine bay has the ponies to match the plate.
We've been through our stages as younger teenagers we had Skylines and GSRs and all that sort of stuff, but V8s and these classic Americans were always the main thing for me. My brother was into his rotaries and stuff, but yeah, the American stuff was always the goal. But as most people know, to get nice ones of these type of cars, you've got to have pretty deep pockets or a lot of time on your hands. So yeah, the 65, just the shape. I like all Impalas, but particularly these, because it's a bit of a mixture of like a cruiser, classic sort of, lowrider style car with a bit of muscle to it as well, the shape. So it's quite, you can do a lot of things to change the way you want yours to look. So over the years, I'll probably, change up the look of it a bit. A lot of what you see on the car was how I actually brought it in the country. I did a full AccuAir Ride Tech combination setup for my airbags, and you sort of get a car like this, of this level, and a lot of people shy off wanting you to put bags in them, but you spend the money on the good stuff and it actually handles better than any of the other Impalas I've had, because I've gone for the Shockwave front end, which is a shock inside an airbag, so they handle surprisingly good for a big boat like these. But it's predominantly a cruise car for me. I don't, I've wound it out a few times, but it's it's just a cruiser and a family car for us to bring out on days like this, really.
And clocking up 18 years of family ownership was this 1970 Valiant Coupe. Deborah claiming the keys for 12 of those after buying the car from her son.
It was owned by a guy called Dave Martin, and he'd had it since he was 18 years old, and he had it in pretty good mint drivable condition. It was really in good condition. My son bought it from him, and after about 5 years he went off to university and decided, Mum, you can have the car. It was at that point when I couldn't get the odd warrant for small things that went wrong that I decided it was time to give it a total makeover, to make it so that I could just roll up to the WAF and just get one. Yeah, well, that opened a can of worms, and so it went from the bottom up. So that was the result. There are so many awesome cars around, I mean, and they all have their own story, and they're all special to each owner. And that's why I enjoy really coming to these car shows, because you get such a nice variety of cars and meet such a lot of cool people. It's a good hobby. It's a good hobby. It was actually a good midlife crisis.
1970 Mac 1, bought it out of Christchurch. Guy there did it up. I've done the motor in it since. It's been in here in New Zealand since 1988. Yeah, it's running a 351 Cleveland with a FMX box in it, and it's got a Detroit locker in the diff. Like anything with a V8 in it. Yeah, I've got a 56 Victoria, and yeah, this is the one we bought over this time, so. Good event too, you know, like heaps of people. You know, it's getting bigger and bigger, so it's good to support local too. We're over at Kapiti, so it's quite nice to come over to the Martinborough and come on this cruise.
A Cruisin Martinborough highlight for many was the opportunity to throw their cars down Masterton Motorplex's drag strip. While a few certainly looked like they already knew the way to the other end, the relaxed setting also proved the perfect way to give others a taste of what point-and-shoot racing is all about. Back in Martinborough, the town square turned into a parking lot and provided a great backdrop for a big lineup on show day. Nestled amongst the crowds, Brian and Betty's Model A coupe.
We've had it on the road since about 2009. Cruisin Customs did a lot of work on it for me, body-wise. We brought it pretty much running 350 Chev in it, and just a few dress-up bits on the engine and the old 9-inch out the back. It's pretty reliable. We cruised around the country quite a bit in it, and yeah, just enjoy it, you know. I've always sort of wanted flames, whatever hot rod I had, so I had to have flames. And we try to look at the nostalgia sort of period for it, and I think that will last, you know, it won't sort of go out of fashion, that sort of look. It's pretty hot rod.
And although the plate says coupe, that actually wasn't always the case.
It actually was an old roadster body on there, and somebody had grafted a roof onto it, but it sort of wasn't the best and had only front window, no other windows in it, and so we wanted to do more travelling in it, and so we thought we have to have the sit-in without the elements blasting around us. So yeah, so no, and then we brought a roof and some doors for the Model A and grafted it. It's got to be driven, not hidden. Yeah, no, we've been all up, right up the North Island. We do like the pre-49 sort of things. It's more our period of car, but no, anything car on, we try to get there. Yeah.
Just 2 down, and Cruisin Martinborough has already deemed itself another worthy entry on the event calendar. Now, organiser Damien is faced with the tough task of deciding just how much of a success he wants the event to be.
Number 3, round 3. To be honest, a lot of people enjoy their relaxed atmosphere and tell me, don't let it get too big. 400 one day would be probably a nice number for the little village. Anything more than that probably gets, you know, becomes a different beast. Yeah, keeping it relaxed and enjoyable, yeah.
Stick around, there's a whole lot more in store after the break, like Omar's super clean VW Golf. And we meet the team at CTB Performance, hot rodding brand new Mustangs. You're back with NAC Car Culture, kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. We've got Omar's super slick Mark II Golf coming up, plus a trip to CTB Performance. But first, we drop in at Auckland's Magnum Automotive for this week's NAC Tech Tip.
Oil system maintenance is an underrated part of vehicle general maintenance. You know, even things like the dipstick level and debris and oil filters, it's all telltale signs of what's happening inside your engine. You should check your oil at least once a week, your oil level, make sure it's within the manufacturer's maximum and minimum levels. Too much oil in your engine is a bad thing. The crankshaft whips up the oil and sends it up into the cylinders, and it can make the engine smoke and do all sorts of funny things. Too little oil, and when you're braking hard or accelerating or cornering, the oil pickup will suck air, and that's going to be bad for your engine as well. It's a pretty important and underrated part of your oil system maintenance. At regular service intervals, your engine oil should be changed along with your oil filter. When we're doing an oil filter change on an engine, we like to cut the oil filter open to have a look inside and see what's going on inside the engine. It's a very good indicator of the health of the engine. You can see if anything's coming apart or whether the engine's just in perfect operating health. Cut the oil filter open, let the filter media drain off. You can actually open it up and read the oil filter. A good operating engine, there'll be very little debris in there at all. If a engine bearing's coming apart, there's going to be bearing material in there. If a needle roller from a roller lifter's coming apart, there's going to be metal and that collected in the oil filter. And so you're looking for telltale signs that things are coming apart so that you can investigate further and make sure that you're not going to have a major failure.
Okay, thanks to the good people at Teng Tools, it's time now to head for Auckland's CTB Performance, the workshop hot rodding factory fresh Mustangs.
We're at CTB Performance and Accessories. We're just like any performance shop. You can come in and get your car upgraded, but there's also the advantage of being able to go to any local Ford dealer and buying a Mustang from them brand new and getting an upgrade package of ours installed on it. We've had a relationship with Ford New Zealand for 30 odd years. We've been working with them for a long time, and the performance shop's quite a new side to CTB. It was just one of those things that it came up that Ford were looking to do something, and we were at the right place at the right time with the right people.
Winding up the wick on brand new automobiles does mean a commitment to keeping up with the latest tech, but it does have plenty of benefits, like not having to deal with years of wear and tear.
It's nice to have a new car to work on instead of one that's done a few thousand Ks and a bit grimed up and muddy and dirty. It's nice to be working on new cars.
The CTB treatments come in 3 flavours. Stage 1 starts with the basics, including an air intake and exhaust upgrade. But where things really start getting exciting is the V8 only Stage 3 option. This sees a supercharger from Ford Racing and Roush bolted on top of the 5-litre quad-cam V8, adding a whopping 197 kilowatts and pushing the Mustang all the way up to 500 with just under 800 newton meters of torque. And all this without messing up the new car warranty.
At the level with warranty, it's £10 a boost, which to some people is going to sound a lot, but with a modern day engine, it's not. I mean, if you look at the EcoBoost engines from factory, they're running £23 a boost. So £10 a boost on a car that, yes, has high compression pistons is still not stressing the car too much. The engines are good to about £15, £16 a boost. Beyond there, you're going to have starting to have issues.
But despite a 500 kilowatt world of fun waiting under your right foot, the beauty of late model muscle is its very tunable road manners. One big reason why cars like the CTB Spec Mustang are popular with petrol heads not content to wait till next weekend for their horsepower fix.
Most guys are using them as their weekend cars, or you have the guys that have got hot rods of the 30s and 40s, but want something that they can use as their daily driver, and they don't want something standard because they've got a hot rod in the garage at home.
Sam's own daily driver doubles as the CTB flagship model. The 2016 Mustang plays host to a heap of Roush styling enhancements, while Sam naturally opted for no less than the supercharged Stage 3 package. A set of 20-inch TSW rims complete the look, while the fully adjustable airlift performance install combines that all-important slam stance with genuine handling ability.
Suspension's come a long way in the last 5 or 6 years. The car's still nice and comfortable when you're cruising around, and if you want to push a little bit further, it'll stiffen up and act like adjustable suspension would. The only advantage that the air ride's got is that we can go 2 inches higher than stock or 6 inches lower than stock, giving us a cool stance or something a little bit higher to get over a speed bump. You're going to go from something that's going to put a smile on your face every now and again to something that's going to put a smile on your face forever. It's a lot of fun to drive. I drive it every day. But you want to go to the racetrack, go to the drag strip, you want to just have some fun, it's there, all ready to go.
Right, time now to check out something from a couple of decades earlier. Meet this week's Mount Shop feature car, Omar's VW Mark II Golf GTI.
Mum and Dad always tell me one of the first words I said was car. He's not around anymore, but I'd love to see his reaction now and see how far I've taken what he's kind of influenced me, but just by taking me to the panel beaters or going to the mechanics and seeing him being real meticulous about the upkeep of our car back then. And I guess I've taken it to another level, so. My mate Paul had a couple of white 3-door Mark IIs, and he had one for sale, so I wanted to check it out as a bit of a daily. So it's just going to be a bit of a daily car to get me from Mount Eden to Albany, you know. And it just grew on me. It's this boxy little hot hatch, and it ran well. Had a few little niggles, but we just kind of conquered those issues one by one. Actually, outside the house, it got stolen once the day after my daughter's birthday. Thankfully, thanks to social media and Facebook, a really good dude called Ben knew the car. I didn't even know him, but I got to know him after that, and he said, I found your car, I've chased them, I've cornered them, I called the cops. I got the car back here on a flatbed, and that's when I decided to strip it down and do its justice, because I realised how much it meant to me. The 80s appeal, it's 1980s, the boxy lines, simplicity. And with the Golf, since the Mark I, especially GTI, when you buy a GTI, you're buying a car that's well-spec'd. It's got a different engine, it's got different suspension, brakes, trim, so the trim level's really nice. So you're sitting in an environment that's actually, for the 80s, it was really nicely kitted out, you know? Nice Recaro seats, and engine's tuned, and the suspension's nice and tight. It's perfect. It's about power to weight, and it ticks those boxes when you get it all right.
The 5.5-year resto was all about not cutting corners. If a component wasn't available as new old stock, then the part was completely refurbished before finding its way back into the car. Omar's fastidious attention to detail is perhaps most evident in the Golf's engine bay. A year and a half later, Volkswagen's PB 1800 is now clean enough to eat off, although we wouldn't recommend trying it while Omar's around.
I'm into the details, you know, that the nuts and bolts are going to be positioned in a particular way. I hate cable ties. That's a pet hate. I hate blue and red fittings on hoses. It's a complete pet hate. So some people, it doesn't bother them, but for me, I look at every detail. And I'm hoping people can value and see that with my cars, you know. The attention to detail is really important, and just making it your own and making that bit better, and just challenging yourself to push yourself to kind of do a bit of out-of-the-box thinking. A lot of people could say that, oh, you could have put a more modern GTI engine, like a 1.8, you know, GTI from a Mark IV, which is a turbo, 1.8 turbo. But I wanted to keep it period correct. I wanted it to be old school. I wanted a floating engine in the bay, and I drew a lot of inspiration and influence from the hot rod guys. I loved how going to shows and seeing these engines that are just suspended in the bay, chromed details, polished details, and hidden and tucked, wiring them. So I feel I've achieved that with this, and that's where I wanted to head with this car. Have a Euro hot hatch, but a few hot rod influences in there.
While the minimalist engine bay treatment may be the Mark II's party piece, it's just part of a build ethic that continues throughout the car. Although the Golf's 80s appeal is all there, Omar has little interest in the car world's awkward 90s phase of oversized rims and kit, happily forfeiting maximum player status for a set of 16-inch BBS RS wheels and FK High Sport coilovers.
I think we're so far away from that now. People are starting to pay attention to an OEM look, which is what I believe in. OEM plus, and less is more. I think it's It's just a sound to have a timeless approach to whatever car you're building. I've done it for myself. I've built this Mark II exactly how I wanted the Mark II GTI to be. So if VW gave me a blank canvas and said, what will be your ultimate Mark II? It will be that. It's still subtle, it's still humble, it's still non-pretentious. It's not loud, it's not big. We're not chasing big BHP here, you know? I'm not hugely worried about that. It's a car that's usable, it's sound, it functions really well, it handles well, and it's good enough not to get you in trouble, you know? This Mark II was a project that pushed my boundaries. I think if you're interested in something, if you're really interested in something, you'll research it and you'll put all your passion and energy into it. You'll gain good results out of that, you know? And this car taught me a lot about that. It's been the biggest project so far for me, so I'm looking forward to the next one. I might be doing something a bit different, you know?
Want to see more cars in action like this? Jump onto themotorhood.com now and sign up for our totally free digital magazine. It's packed with the best bits from New Zealand performance car, NZV8 and New Zealand classic car magazines. Simply enter your email address and you'll get it direct to your inbox. Easy. That's us for this episode. Coming up on NAC Car Culture next week, Kenny Harrison builds a Camaro, but not as we know it.
People love it, and then the people that hate it, they absolutely hate it. It's not your usual, it's so out of the normal, and people just, yeah, they don't quite get it.
A Carterton shed joining two families together. And Time Attack from the final round of the Super Lap series at Hampton Downs.
Your fastest lap time, so you're not door-to-door racing with other cars, you're basically running against the clock.
Lots of pressure and, you know, try and get that one good lap and get all the corners right, which is really tough.
See you then. NAC Car Culture was proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. And Teng Tools. Get organised.